Practice Occupational Health and Safety Procedure. Information Sheet Number 1.4-2. Controlling Hazard and Risk. Introduction. Effective controls protect workers from workplace hazards, help avoid injuries, illnesses, and incidents, minimize or eliminate safety and health risks, and help employers provide workers with safe and healthful working conditions. Hierarchy control. The hierarchy of control is a system for controlling risks in the workplace. The hierarchy of control is a step-by-step approach to eliminating or reducing risks, and it ranks risk controls from the highest level of protection and reliability through to the lowest and least reliable protection. The following element shows the structure of the hierarchy of control, from most effective control to least effective. Reduce the risk through elimination. Eliminating the hazard and risk is the highest level of control in the hierarchy. Physical removal of the hazard is the most effective hazard control. Eliminating hazards can be cheaper and more practical at the design or planning stage of a product, process, or workplace. 2. Reduce the risk through substitution. The second most effective hazard control involves replacing something that produces a hazard with something that does not produce a hazard or produces a lesser hazard. If it is not reasonably practicable to eliminate the hazards and associated risks, minimize the risks by substitution and isolation. 3. Reduce the risk through engineering controls. The third most effective means of controlling hazards is engineering controls. These do not eliminate hazards, but rather isolate people from hazards. Capital costs of engineered controls tend to be higher than less effective controls in the hierarchy. However, they may reduce future costs. An engineering control is a control measure that is physical in nature, including a mechanical device or process. Examples of engineering controls include process control. Process control involves changing the way a job, activity, or process is done to reduce the risk. Monitoring should be done before and as well as after the changes implemented to make sure the changes did, in fact, control the hazard. Enclosure and isolation. These methods aim to keep the chemical in and the worker out, or vice versa. Ventilation is a method of control that strategically adds and removes air in the work environment. 4. Reduce the risk using administrative controls. Administrative controls are work methods or procedures designed to minimize exposure to a hazard. In most cases, administrative controls use systems of work to control the risk. 5. Reduce the risk using personal protective equipment. PPE. PPE refers to anything employees use or wear to minimize risks to their health and safety. PPE includes but is not limited to the following. Gloves. A glove is a garment covering the whole hand. Gloves usually have separate sheaths or openings for each finger and the thumb. If there is an opening but no covering sheath for each finger, they are called fingerless gloves. Nomex clothing is a synthetic fiber with heat and flame-resistant features. This is by far the most suitable material used in manufacturing protective apparel for firefighters and those exposed to hazardous work conditions. Nomex does not melt or drip, and it also prevents combustion in the air. Respirator is a device designed to protect the wearer from inhaling hazardous atmospheres, including fumes, vapors, gases, and particulate matter such as dusts and airborne microorganisms. Tyvek suits is a versatile material that is both durable and comfortable, providing an excellent barrier against dangerous fine particles and chemicals. A unique non-woven material with protection built into the fabric itself, Tyvek has no films or laminates that can abrade or wear away over time. Hard hats. A type of helmet used in workplace environments such as industrial or construction sites to protect the head from injury due to falling objects, impact with other objects, debris. rain, and electric shock. Safety glasses, goggles, or safety glasses are forms of protective eyewear that usually enclose or protect the area surrounding the eye in order to prevent particulates, water, or chemicals from striking the eyes. They are used in chemistry laboratories and in woodworking. They are often used in snow sports as well, and in swimming. High visibility clothing. High visibility clothing, sometimes known as high-vis, is any clothing worn that is highly luminescent in its natural matte property or a color that is easily discernible from any background. It is most commonly worn on the torso and arm area of the body. Safety footwear, worn in the workplace, is designed to protect the foot from physical hazards, such as falling objects, stepping on sharp objects, heat and cold, wet and slippery surfaces, or exposure to corrosive chemicals. Earmuffs. Earmuffs are clothing accessories or PPE designed to cover a person's ears for hearing protection or for warmth. They consist of a thermoplastic or metal headband that fits over the top or back of the head, and a cushion or cup at each end to cover the external ears. Apron. An apron is a protective piece of clothing made from fabric or other materials that covers the front of the body. Some workers wear aprons for hygienic reasons. For example, restaurant workers. Other workers wear aprons to protect clothes or to protect their bodies from injury. Anti-static suit. Anti-static clothing made of woven materials such as flame retardant (FR) clothing generally achieve anti-static properties by including a conductive, usually carbon, thread in the weave support hazard and risk control. To effectively control and prevent hazards, employers should involve workers, who often have the best understanding of the conditions that create hazards and insights into how they can be controlled. Identify and evaluate options for controlling hazards using a UNQUAT hierarchy of controls. UNQUAT use a hazard control plan to guide the selection and implementation of controls, and implement controls according to the plan. Develop plans with measures to protect workers during emergencies and non-routine activities. Evaluate the effectiveness of existing controls to determine whether they continue to provide protection, or whether different controls may be more effective. Review new technologies for their potential to be more protective, more reliable, or less costly. Before making control plan, consider the following. Review sources such as OSHA standards and guidance, industry consensus standards, National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, NI, OSH publications, manufacturers' literature, and engineering reports to identify potential control measures. Keep current on relevant information from trade or professional associations. Investigate control measures used in other workplaces and determine whether they would be effective at your workplace. Get input from workers, who may be able to suggest and evaluate solutions based on their knowledge of the facility, equipment, and work processes. 4. Complex hazards. Consult with safety and health experts, including OSHA's on-site consultations program.